Motocross Nationals.
In all of motorsports, nothing matches the rough and tumble action of motocross. It is often referred to as the most exciting and physically demanding sport in the world. Stay tuned and you'll see why. The AMA National Championship Motocross Series is coming up next. The AMA United States Motocross Nationals, brought to you by Suzuki. Your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. Welcome to Buzz Creek, Maryland, the National Championship Motocross Series sanctioned by the American Motorcyclist Association. It's cold out here today. As you can see, I've got a couple of jackets on, and I'm still not comfortable. Today, we could see the deciding rounds in the 125 and 500cc National Championship Series. There is still one race to go after today in Unadilla, New York, but this could be the deciding round. Two riders have an edge. Mike Kidrowski in the 125 class. In the 500 class is Jean-Michel Bayle. But it's only an edge. Anything can happen. Before we get to that action, let's take a look at what happened 1 week ago in Pennsylvania. With 10 races down and 3 to go, rider number 4, Mike Kidrowski, carried a 49-point advantage over rider number 1, the defending champ, Guy Cooper, into the Steel City round. Start of moto number 1. Out front, it was Mike Kidrowski, followed by his arch rival, Guy Cooper. They were accompanied by Jeff Emig. Emig didn't last long in the chase. He dropped back off the pace with the rest of the class. It boiled down to a confrontation between the two champions, Mike Kidrowski, 1989, Guy Cooper, 1990. With just a couple of laps to go, Guy Cooper was parked on the rear wheel of Mike Kidrowski. It was all to no avail. Kidrowski grabbed a handful of throttle, said goodbye to Cooper, and would win by approximately 2 seconds. Eric Kehoe, Larry Ward, and Jeff Emig would chase the front two across the line. Mike LaRocco, rider number 6, Team Suzuki, was in contention. He was closing on the rest of the field. Lost the rear axle out of his motorcycle. That put him out of it for moto number 1. Checkered flag coming up. Mike Kidrowski takes it, raised his left arm in the air to acknowledge the victory to the crowd. Guy Cooper coming home in the number 2 position, and he says to Mike, good race. Moto number 2, same guy out front, Mike Kidrowski. This time he's being chased by Brian Swink, rider number 42. That battle would last only a couple of laps as Mike Kidrowski suffered a flat rear tire. Now, the tire is already flat. Watch Swink. He makes the pass, goes by Kidrowski. Now, Kidrowski put up a valiant effort. He gamely fought back. It was all to no avail. Pulled into the pits a lap later with more problems. More on that in just a second. Let's take a look now. There's Kidrowski continuing to drop back. Guy Cooper had made the pass. Mike LaRocco had made the pass. Now here goes LaRocco to the inside of Brian Swink. He takes over now the number 1 position. Swink getting tired. He's had a couple of injuries this year that has kept him off the pace. Here's the real problem. Kidrowski in the pits, a hole in his gas tank. They blamed it onto a bent and damaged exhaust pipe. So he was out for the day in moto number 2. It's going to cost him a pile of points. LaRocco took the checkered flag. Guy Cooper won it overall. He took a pair of second places and gained 19 points on points leader Mike Kidrowski. 500cc class, here comes Jeff Ward. What a fantastic athlete this man is. Continually shows up at the front of the race. He's the elder statesman of motocross. I imagine by now he's tired of hearing that. Must continually point it out, though, just in deep admiration of what he is able to accomplish on the racetrack. Ward out front, it was Stanton running in a number 2 position, and here comes his arch rival and teammate Jean-Michel Bayle. Has won just about everything in motocross this year. Looking for a win here at Delmont, Pennsylvania to pad his already already rather healthy points lead. Good move on the part of Bale as he made the pass on Jeff Ward. Ward not giving up. Bale is leading the 500cc National Championship class, and he just continues to pour it on. Look at that action. He goes to the outside when Ward found a good line on the inside, but he made a mistake all by himself. That's a rarity. Jean-Michel Bale goes down. Jeff Ward regained the #1 spot and said, well, now I'm going to have a second chance at this, Bale, and I'm going to go on and take that win. Didn't work that way. Out of sight of the cameras, Bale made the pass, and he would go on to win the first moto in the 500cc class with Jeff Ward right behind. Second moto, Jeff Ward out front again, and again being pursued by Jeff Stanton, rider #2. Stanton has never won a 500cc national championship. Jeff Ward has won a couple of them, and he knows what it's all about, and he's chasing Jean-Michel Bale for the title. In fact, here at Delmont, Pennsylvania, Jeff Ward would move into the #2 position in the standings. He would leave Delmont, Pennsylvania, just 13 points back. Jeff Ward, the overall winner, moto finishes of 2-1. Jean-Michel Bale finished second overall. He won the first moto, got third in the second, and Jeff Stanton, with a third and a second, finished third overall. That's the way it went at Delmont, Pennsylvania. Today we're at Budds Creek, Maryland, for both the 125 and 500cc National Championship classes. This is the next to last event. The series is winding down. Jean-Michel Bale on top of the standings, 185 to 172 over Jeff Ward. In the 500cc class, Stanton running third. Mike Kiedrowski on top of Guy Cooper, 425 to 395. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to National Championship Motocross, sanctioned by the American Motorcyclist Association at Budds Creek, Maryland. In the 125 class, Guy Cooper, rider #1, is going to need some kind of a break from this man, Mike Kiedrowski, rider #4. Kiedrowski on top of the point standings by a healthy margin. Anything can happen, however, and occasionally it does. Earlier today, I talked to Kiedrowski. Practice is going on. You've had an opportunity to take a look at the track. What are your thoughts?
It's pretty good. I like this Budds Creek track. I've won here 2 years in a row, and you know, it's a good day today. It's not real sunny, so the track won't dry out, and you know, the dirt's really loamy and perfect.
Sunny, not too sunny indeed. You're sitting here with a jacket on, your hands in your pocket. Look all the clothes I have on. It's downright cold out here today. That have any effect on the riding?
Well, it makes it a little bit easier for everybody. You know, the sun's not beating down. It's not as physical and stuff like that. So I personally don't like it because I like to go out there and sweat, and you know, everybody else starts fading and I do a little bit better. But you know, it's going to be just perfect for racing today.
You're looking to get back the championship that you won originally in 1989. Guy Cooper took it away from you a year ago. You've got a pretty good points margin, but I don't think you're in a position to relax at all.
No, you don't. You know, I got 4 more motos left. Last week at Still City, I DNF'd the second moto because I had a flat tire, and then my gas tank, a hole burned in the bottom of it, and all my gas leaked out. So, you know, like they say, when it rains, it pours. So you never know. So you got to try every moto, do the best you can, win as many times as you can. I got 4 more races left. And, you know, I got a 30-point lead. I had a 50-point lead. So, you know, it can go away real quick. So you just got to go out there and win the motos.
Final point, Mike, you mentioned that you had won here the past 2 years. Does that give you kind of an adrenaline rush knowing that this is your track?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, you just do good at this track. You know, it fits your style, and, you know, the dirt's good. All the berms are good. I like ruts, and, you know, I kind of like loamy dirt. So I guess this track fits me real good, and I like to win here. The fans are great, and, you know, it's just a good track to win on.
On that note, we'll say good luck to you.
Thank you, Larry.
An optimistic Mike Kiedrowski, and why not? With 3 wins to his credit, he is a full 30 points ahead of Guy Cooper with 4 motos to go. Kiedrowski, barring any unforeseen problem, can do that standing on his head. An unforeseen problem, though, is what he has got to watch out for. He knows that. He mentioned it came up and bit him 1 week ago. Hopefully for Kiedrowski and the Kawasaki camp, no more bites. The gate has dropped here at Delmont, Pennsylvania. The opening moto in the 125 class is underway, and a big pileup in the corner. Riders coming together, squeezing together. A couple of them down. All bodies are all right and up back on the motorcycle again. In the early going of that corner, it looked like Guy Cooper was going to squeak out to the front, but Cooper was squeezed at the last minute. Brian Swink, rider number 42, the Pro Circuit rider, holds down the #1 position. Running in second, it's Mike Kiedrowski, rider number 4, the series points leader. Back in third now as the field starts to sort themselves out. It's Guy Cooper, rider number 1, the defending champ. Behind Cooper comes number 18. That's Jeff Emig, the Yamaha rider. Then a whole host of others, including Eric Kehoe, number 33. Doug Henry, rider number 31. They're all chasing, though, the Pro Circuit Peak Antifreeze Team Honda rider Brian Swink out of Fenton, Michigan. Here goes Kiedrowski now pulling up to within a bike length. Let's make that a half bike length. Now a good handful of throttle grab by Swink on that uphill section of the track. He opens it back up to a couple of bike lengths over Kiedrowski and Cooper. Cooper looking edgy already. Cooper is not waiting. He's not waiting for anything to sort out. Cooper is trying to make the moves on Kiedrowski. He's trying to take over the number 2 position off the top of the jump. He gets the job done. Guy Cooper, Stillwater, Oklahoma, the defending 125 champ, has taken over the number 2 slot. He now is chasing Brian Swink with Mike Kiedrowski close in tow. If you're Mike Kiedrowski, I wonder what's going through your mind. The championship is at stake. The one thing you do not want to do is to make some kind of an unforced error in making a pass, a reckless pass, that could put you out of the moto, that would cost you those valuable championship points. Let Cooper do all the work up front. I would think that's what Kiedrowski is thinking. And look at that. That's the kind of mistake you've got to watch. Cooper coming down on the front wheel of the motorcycle as he tried to get by Swink. He just kept the throttle dialed on, though, and he made that corner to the left, that U-turn, and he takes over the number 1 position. But Cooper had it into a nosedive position and made the save. An outstanding ride. Let's take another look and you'll see what I mean. Now watch Guy Cooper as he comes over the top of this jump. There, he's alongside and makes the pass. I'm not sure just what he did. Maybe he grabbed a handful of brake by accident. In any event, the rear end of the motorcycle went up over the top, and Cooper almost lost it, but he held on as he takes over that number 1 position and now starts to pull away from the rest of the field. Guy Cooper is feeling it out here today. He's got to be careful, though. It's a wet track in places. It's tacky in places. But every place, it's rough, it's fast, and it is tough. Brian Swink holding down the number 2 position. There in third place is Mike Kiedrowski. Right behind Kiedrowski comes Jeff Emig aboard the Yamaha. And look at that. Jeff Emig found an uphill triple. Emig doing a jump that none of the other riders are. It's an uphill triple jump or a long double. We'll have to count him the next time around and see if we can't figure out just what he is doing. But he certainly is getting the Yamaha airborne in, or for a longer, I should say, period of time than the other 2 riders that are immediately in front of him. That being in second place, number 42, Brian Swink. And on the inside, trying to move into second, rider number 4, Mike Kiedrowski. This is the battle for the number 2 position. Guy Cooper out front as Swink looks behind him, wants to know what is going on. Swink took that quick look back. In the meantime, Jeff Emig has moved up to the number 3 position. So now it's not Kiedrowski, but it's Emig challenging for the number 2 slot. Emig goes to the inside. They're side by side. Can Swink hold on? It looks like he's got the advantage. No, and there goes. He just cut right across the front of Swink. There went Jeff Emig to take over the number 2 position. So now it's Cooper out front, Jeff Emig in second, Brian Swink in third, but Swink doesn't like it there, and he's right back challenging Emig for the runner-up slot. And Swink runs off the edge of the track, no harm done. He almost went down, and evidently Kiedrowski having some kind of problem because now he's been passed by a couple of other riders. Eric Kehoe has taken over the number 4 position. Here's our leader, Guy Cooper. He's way out front. Cooper having virtually no competition in the early going of moto number 1. Jeff Emig has taken over second. It's Brian Swink third. In the number 4 slot, it's Eric Kehoe. And Mike Kiedrowski continues to drop further off the pace with some kind of problem. Now, you recall earlier in talking to Kiedrowski, that's the one thing that he needed to avoid. We said at the outset the championship is pretty much his. He has a lock on it if he can avoid that type of confrontation. Kiedrowski is capable of running 3rd, 4th, or 5th without even breaking a sweat. But if he's got some kind of a motorcycle problem, if he has hurt his body and he's not able to maintain one of those front positions, then that 30-point lead, that 30-point deficit that Guy Cooper, who is currently running out front, had coming into this moto is going to rapidly diminish, and Cooper would be right back in the championship chase. When we leave Budds Creek, Maryland, there will only be 2 motos left. That'll be 1 week from now at Unadilla, New York. 2 motos here today, so there are 4 motos for Cooper to do a little bit of business and to get that points lead of Kwiatkowski's down within a workable range. Here's the battle for the number 2 position. Jeff Emig, rider number 18, holding that slot, and now Mike LaRocco is in contention. No, let's correct that. LaRocco is there. He's battling with Emig, but he is not in contention. He is a lap down. LaRocco crashed on the opening lap, and this one is rapidly running out. He'll not get that lap back. Here's Cooper. He's headed toward the checkered flag. He'll take the win in moto number 1. He's followed across the line by Jeff Emig, rider number 18. Talon Volan finished 3rd. Mike Kwiatkowski worked back up to the number 4 position. Jeremy McGrath rounding out the top 5. And again, Mike LaRocco, after crashing in moto number 1, was a full lap off the pace. He had pulled into the pits and had to do some emergency repair work, so he was not a factor, although we saw him running with the front runners. We'll be back with more exciting motocross action, 500cc action coming your way next. Welcome back. Before we get into 500cc action, let's listen in as Carl Holman talks to Roger DeCoster about Jean-Michel Bayle.
Jean-Michel Bayle has been very dominant in the Supercross, the 250s. Obviously, he won both championships, and now in the 500 with 2 races left, he is leading that series. What has made the difference between he and the other riders this year?
I think the big difference on the track is that he reads the track very well, and he finds lines that other riders don't find usually. He also accepts to finish second if he has to, and he is not. He doesn't put the extra pressure on himself that to have to win every race. But at worst, he seems to always be up in the, on a bad day, he still finished 3 or 4. So he doesn't have any really bad days. And I think that's why he's doing good in the championships.
No bad days. Wouldn't that be a great way to run through life? Here's a look at the back end of Jean-Michel Bayle's truck, performing some last-minute surgery on the rear end of his motorcycle. Let's go to Carl Holman, who was with Jean-Michel Bayle.
You've been a dominant rider on the track this year. What's made the difference between you and the other riders?
But I think it's my year, I was ready last year, I think, and I make some mistakes. So this year I was a little bit more ready, and I feel very confident. And I think the difference is here. I won a lot of races, and I'm still confident. So I am one of the best. I'm one of the best riders. So the only difference can make, in the start and the way you ride, and I feel very good on the bike. So maybe why I'm winning.
Could you analyze for us very briefly the techniques of the other riders that are up there with you? First, Jeff Ward.
Jeff Ward is, is very, he knows everything about motocross. He's racing for a long time, and he have a lot of experience. And I think it's a good advantage he got. Is he know all the track, and he know how to start. He make maybe like, I don't know, but 300 starts in US. So I think this advantage is in the motocross for a long time, more than me.
And Damon Bradshaw.
He's a very aggressive rider, and I just try to give 100%, 110% every time. And sometimes he works, and sometimes he didn't work. So he's good for win a race, but I don't think he's good for win a championship. But still a good rider.
Right. And Jeff Stanton.
So Stanton, I think, try to work very hard and try to win the race. When he win a race, he think he win a race because he practiced a lot in a week, and so he worked very hard. He tried to take the motocross like a big walk, and he do what he want to do. And he won 2 championships, so I cannot say it didn't work. So it's good for him, and he's a good rider.
That was Jean-Michel Bayle earlier today. He's on top of the national championship point standings. He's won a pair of races. Jeff Ward has won 2. But he's leading 185 to 172 as the first moto in the 500cc national championship event is about to get underway. The gate is down, and here they come in moto number 1. Jean-Michel Bayle leading the way. Jeff Stanton was right there. Jeff Ward was right there. The rider trying to squeeze through closest to the camera, number 100. That was Ron Lachine. He was faltered momentarily. Jeff Stanton from Sherwood, Michigan, rider number 2, Team Honda, shows the rest of the field how to get through this racetrack in the early going. He's followed closely by Jean-Michel Bayle. Then comes Jeff Ward in the number 3 position. Those 3 riders have been the class of the field as they start already to stretch out their advantage over the rest of the riders in contention. Now here comes Damon Bradshaw. He quickly got into it. Bradshaw, and Bayle stumbles. He almost lost it on that uphill section of the track. He saved it. He did lose number 2 position in the process. Jeff Ward made the pass, but here comes Bale right back at him, and Bradshaw still a close 4th. Now, in the very early going through the first couple of corners, Bradshaw was not right there, but he put on a strong drive to pass several riders to put himself right in the thick of it. So it's Jeff Stanton out front, Jeff Ward holding down the number 2 position, Jean-Michel Bale running 3rd, and Damon Bradshaw running 4th. We got a pair of Hondas, a Kawasaki, and a Yamaha up front. Back in 5th place, a KTM, the Austrian-built motorcycle, being ridden by Mike Fisher, rider number 14. Jeff Stanton, I'm reminded as we watch Stanton start to stretch his lead slightly over Jeff Ward, that when Stanton went from the amateur ranks into the ranks of the professionals, he was considered a 500cc expert. That was kind of thought to be his field. Since then, he's won a pair of Supercross championships. He's won a pair of 250cc outdoor titles. But the Sherwood, Michigan rider has never captured the 500cc crown, and unless something dramatic happens in the final 2 events, the final 4 motos of the 1991 season, he's not going to get that 500cc crown this year either. He's well out of the title chase. He's running now in the number 3 position in points standings as Jean-Michel Bale squeaks to the inside of Ward to take over 2nd. I just started to say that Stanton was back in the standings behind our points leader Jean-Michel Bale. Jeff Ward running in the number 2 position. At Budds Creek, Maryland, though, the opening moto in the 500 class, Jeff Stanton is out front, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to always exciting National Championship Motocross. Today's action coming to you from Potomac Raceway at Budds Creek, Maryland. This is the opening round, the first round of 2 in the 500cc National Championship class. That's Jeff Stanton from Sherwood, Michigan out front. He's being trailed by his teammate and series points leader, rider number 8. That'll be Jean-Michel Bale, the French world champion, currently residing in Redondo Beach, California. Both of those riders are on Hondas. In the number 3 position, it's Jeff Ward, will be rider number 1, the defending 500cc national champ, aboard a Kawasaki. Back and forth, it was Damon Bradshaw. Mike Fisher, rider number 14 on a KTM, was running 5th. Stanton got off to an excellent start, showing the short field, the short way around the racetrack to the rest of the field. Jean-Michel Bale faltered on 1 lap. He let Jeff Ward get by. A few corners later, he regained the number 1 position, or number 2 position, I should say, behind Jeff Stanton, and now is chasing that number 1 slot. Bale does not need the win. It's kind of ironic. He has so far won this season the 250 and Supercross National Championships, and he's after his 3rd title. And the ironic thing is, Bale says, I really don't care. I came here to win the Supercross title. I came to America to do that, and I've won it. Whatever else I get is pure gravy. Now, throughout the early rounds of the Supercross season, the mid rounds, when he was leading the championship, he kind of fell off the pace, and he would take whatever points he could get. He was trying to protect that points lead. Now into the national championship, this 500 class, he seems to be trying to win every race that he possibly can. He does not need to make this pass, and smart money would say, Bale, you've got the championship wrapped up. If you stay out of trouble, he's not paying any attention to smart money. It's if he's trying to prove a point to the American fans, prove a point to the American riders that he can win, and look at that. He passed Jeff Ward there just a few laps ago to take over or to regain the number 2 position, and now he does the same thing to Jeff Stanton, does it with ease as he takes over the number 1 spot in the running of moto number 1 in this 500cc class. There's Bradshaw. He's moved up to 4th. Let's go back and take another look at the pass. You'll see what I mean. Now watch this. Stanton at this point thinks he has everything under control. Takes the line, but he looks up, and who's there in front of him? He got a tighter line on the inside of that hairpin corner. Jean-Michel Bale. Just like that, Stanton's back to 2nd. Bale has taken over the number 1 slot. The Frenchman resides in Redondo Beach, California. You might say that's the home now of the most competitive motocrosser, or certainly the best technical, and I have to think the most skilled motocrosser in the world today. The Frenchman, Jean-Michel Bale. Stanton and Ward now holding their private war. They're battling for the number 2 position as Bale has pretty much left the 2 of them in his dust. Jean-Michel Bale easily, if he keeps it upright, will win moto number 1 and will pad his point standings in this 500cc class. When Bale rides the motorcycle, it's almost as if he's unconcerned with whatever obstacles might be on the track. He pays attention to his own style and just gets the job done. Meanwhile, Jeff Ward and Jeff Stanton, a pair of Jeffs out on the racetrack, are paying attention to each other's style, as one of them would like to hold on to the number 2 slot. That's Stanton, and the other would like to make the pass. That, of course, is Jeff Ward. They've been hammering each other since Ward caught up to the rear wheel of Stanton a couple of laps ago. Unconcerned, look at that. Almost made a mistake. Well, it was a mistake. He almost paid the price, is what I should have said, as he was off the motorcycle, managed to hold on, managed to recover from that near fall, and is still in that number 1 spot by a healthy margin, I might add. But the battle behind for the number 2 position has really heated up. We're into the closing laps on this one, and look at this. Stanton is all over the racetrack. He's trying to block Ward. He's trying to keep him behind him. Ward, on the other hand, is all over the racetrack. He's trying to make the pass. Out front, he's all over the track doing whatever he wants to do. He could go anywhere on the track that he wants to go. That's Jean-Michel Bale. He's headed for the checkered flag and the win in Moto number 1. He takes it. He'll pad his points lead, and out of sight of our cameras, Jeff Ward has made the pass on Stanton. Just a couple of corners to go on that big monster uphill jump, and Stanton had dropped back to the number 3 slot, and Ward is going to hold on. He did. He takes the checkered flag. He finishes second. Jeff Stanton will finish in the number 3 position. Damon Bradshaw, if he keeps it upright, will finish 4th, and sneaking into the number 5 spot will be Gene Newmack from Brooksville, Florida. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. We're at Budds Creek, Maryland for National Championship Motocross Racing. We've already watched a pair of motos in the 125 and 500 class. There are still a pair yet to come, one each in both of those classes. Before we get to that action, though, let's go inside motocross with the legendary Bob Hurricane Hanna.
Hello, I'm Bob Hurricane Hanna, and welcome to Inside Motocross. Hi, Bob Hanna here with another look inside American motocross. The motocross machines you see at the Nationals today are the cutting edge of technology, constantly being updated and refined to produce the maximum performance. Today, we're going to take a look at some of those modern machines and some of the experts that keep those machines the best in the business. We're lucky enough to hook up with Mike McAndrews of the Factory Connection. Tell me something. You and I both raced back in the late 60s, early 70s. Tell us a little bit about suspension then and where it's gone now and where you think it's going to go.
In the real early days, suspension really wasn't even a factor. I mean, there was a few inches of travel there, and it was more just, I don't believe the tracks were as rough as they get now. But it kind of evolved into where I guess one of the most obvious things when you look at a new bike compared to the old bike is the amount of wheel travel, where we're up around 12 inches of wheel travel front and rear. The components themselves are a lot more sophisticated on the inside, where you can tune different speeds of dampening. They all have external adjustments for compression and rebound, so they've gotten sophisticated to where there's just a lot more tunability in each shock.
Old days, you've got 3 inches of travel, 3 inches of travel in the front, 3 inches of travel in the back. Not a lot to control. We're talking 12 inches of travel, 300 millimeters. A lot harder to control that much movement, don't you think?
Yeah, that's it exactly, and that's why it's turned into almost an art trying to get these bikes set up for the different types of tracks that these guys race them on. One of the things I've found out over the years of setting up for different types of tracks, the different terrain produces different shaft speeds out of these components, and that makes them work differently. So what you have to do as a suspension tuner is come to the track, look at the terrain, see what kind of speeds the shocks and forks are going to be working at, and then put in a curve that will match that type of terrain.
Do you think we're, as far as we're going with the suspension, or we got a long ways to go and a lot to look forward to?
I think there's a lot of improvement still taking place here, and you don't have to go too far out of our sport to see what I'm talking about. Penske Racing Shocks, they're a company that produces shocks, racing shocks for the Indy cars, Formula One cars. They have already what I call total manipulation of their shocks from the external adjusters, where with us, when we're adjusting our compression setting on the shock, we're taking the curve that's already there and moving it up and down.
Right.
they have total manipulation where they can control the actual curve from the outside adjustments. Now, if we could get these components to that level, a guy could take a shock, flatten the curve out for a sand track, have it work ideal here, take it to a hard pack track tomorrow, and just readjust the clickers.
Well, thanks a lot for being with us today. Mike McAndrews of the Factory Connection.
And our thanks to Bob Hanna for that inside look at motocross. Action still to come here in the 125 and 500cc classes at Budds Creek, Maryland. Meanwhile, the fans are being entertained by a mud bog. Watch this. And we'll be back with more motocross right after this. Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. You're watching National Championship Motocross, as is a huge crowd here at Budds Creek, Potomac Raceway in Maryland. If you've just joined us, we've already run a pair of motos, one each in the 125 and 500 classes. There are still a pair to go. This is the second moto on the line in the 125 class. Rider number 1, Guy Cooper, the winner of the opening moto. And to his immediate left, rider number 4, that's Mike Kiedrowski, the series points leader. In the opening moto, Kiedrowski finished 4th. The gate is dropped and moto number 2 is underway. It looked like Jeff Emig showing the field the short way through corner number 1. He was followed closely by Guy Cooper. Mike Kiedrowski was there, and indeed it is Emig. He comes out on top, and it's Guy Cooper holding down the number 2 position. Emig from Grand Terrace, California, is a member of Team Yamaha. Cooper from Stillwater, Oklahoma, a factory Suzuki rider. Let's watch them as they head uphill. And Guy Cooper makes the right move. He takes over the number 1 slot. Emig dropping back to second. It's Doug Henry holding the number 3 position. And again back uphill. This is a natural terrain track. It's about as exciting and about as good a racetrack as you're going to find anywhere. A lot of switchbacks, a lot of elevation changes, and that's what makes for a good motocross track. It's a natural track, natural terrain. There are not too many man-made obstacles, too many additions or deletions that had to be made other than a few trees to put this racetrack together. All of the great racetracks in the world are that way. And it seems to fit Guy Cooper's riding style. He's holding down the number 1 slot. He won the opening moto. And Mike Kiedrowski, as we mentioned, finished in the number 4 position. Now, points toward the national championship chase are determined by finishing positions in each moto. Each moto, depending on how you finish, will garner a rider's separate points. Now, those points are totaled together to determine an overall winner for the day, but that is just an honor. And, of course, bragging rights would go along with that, as well as factory bonus and contingency dollars. But individual motos, individual moto finishes determine the amount of points, the number of points a rider would earn toward the national championship total. Finishing first will garner a rider 25 points. Second place is worth 22 points. Third place, 20 points. Fourth place, 18 points. And in fifth place, a rider would garner 16 points. From then on, it goes all the way back 1 point at a time down to 0. So Guy Cooper, who came into this round 11 of 13 in the National Championship 125cc series, picked up 7 points in the opening moto by winning, and Mike Kiedrowski finishing 4th. That point gap as we head into this second moto, or are underway with the second moto, is now down to 27. It was 30 when we started today. Guy Cooper out front. It's Jeff Emig holding down the number 2 position. Here comes Mike Kiedrowski. Behind Kiedrowski, rider number 6 is Mike LaRocco. And unlike moto number 2, unlike moto number 1, I should say, Mike LaRocco is in contention this time. You recall we saw him flashing across the screen a couple of times in that opening moto, but a crash had put him a lap down. So while he was up there battling with the leaders, he was not in contention for the win. Guy Cooper out front, and Mike Kiedrowski has now taken over the number 2 position. Jeff Emig is struggling now back in the number 3 slot. They head uphill, and look at, there's that big long jump again. He's doubling on this uphill. We pointed that out in the first moto, have not had that many good looks at it, that he was the only rider in this 125 class that is able to make that jump. Now, in the 500 class, all the riders are doing it and doing it relatively easy. But in the 125s, only one rider is doing it. That's Emig. And now the battle for the number 1 position is drawing tight. And Kiedrowski almost, is he going to do it? No, Kiedrowski was not able to get the job done. It looked like Kiedrowski was going to make the pass and take over the number 1 position. He's not given up yet. He's trying to drive to the inside of Cooper. They're side by side. Cooper does not want to give up that slot. He does not want to lose those championship points. Kiedrowski, as Cooper falters, looked like he bogged just slightly, has taken over the lead, and here comes Emig. Mike Kiedrowski out front from Canyon Country, California. He didn't do well in Moto number 1 by his standards and finished 4th. A crash had taken him out of the lead and put him back in the pack, and still coming back to finish that number 4 position. But Kiedrowski feels that, hey, if I don't win a moto, I've not done what I'm capable of doing. And he's set out now to do just that in the second moto here at Budds Creek. Guy Cooper giving chase in the number 2 position. Jeff Emig in 3rd. We have got a battle royal for the front 3 positions in Moto number 2. Now, for Guy Cooper, holding down that number 2 position at this point of the ball game might not be a mistake. It could be that Cooper is setting there with every intention of remaining there for the next few laps. He might want to put some pressure on the rear wheel, put some pressure on the mind of Mike Kiedrowski holding down that number 1 slot. He could try to force, he might like to force some kind of an error on the part of Kiedrowski that would maybe knock him out of the race, and he can best do that by holding down the number 2 spot if he should make the pass. And Kiedrowski uses his head and says, well, I've got the championship wrapped up. What I don't want to do is make any kind of a mistake, so I'll just let Guy Cooper go. If that should happen, then obviously Cooper has nothing to gain except 3 points in his drive for the championship. However, if he can stay behind Kiedrowski and keep pushing him, if he can worry Kiedrowski, if Kiedrowski gets caught up in the battle, in the chase with Guy Cooper, then that could be a mistake, and for Cooper it would be a benefit. Kiedrowski, like I said, could easily make a error, some type of a mental error, or experience a mechanical problem in the process of making that error that would knock him right out of the moto, and that would draw that points battle right back to just about ground zero. So Kiedrowski out front, Guy Cooper holding down the number 2 slot. There's Kiedrowski, rider number 4 on the Kawasaki. Cooper right behind him, the defending champion in the 125 class. Kiedrowski won that honor in 1989. He's from Canyon Country, California. Here comes Cooper, rider number 1 aboard the Suzuki. Now let's take a look at the interval. There's Jeff Emig in 3rd. That was a lapped rider in between them. There was another lapped rider. Let's see, 4th place should be coming up, and that should be Mike LaRocco. And it is. Rider number 6 is LaRocco. He's in 4th, and he heads to, and LaRocco goes down. And look at that. In front of the mechanics signal area, LaRocco all by himself simply lost it. We're going to go back and take another look at that and see if we can figure out exactly what happened. And I want you to watch the mechanic in the Suzuki shirt, the rather hefty guy. That's Mike LaRocco's dad. He's a little bit upset over this. LaRocco just come around the corner and lost it. And there's Mike Sr. in the background. He doesn't know whether to bust that chalkboard or wave it. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to Budds Creek, Maryland, and National Championship Motocross. We're in the second of 2 125cc National Championship motos. That's Mike Kiedrowski out front. Here's the battle for the number 2 position. While we were away, Guy Cooper was passed by Jeff Emig. Emig has taken control and a hold of the number 2 spot in the final stages of this second moto. Guy Cooper dropping back to 3rd. He's right on Emig's rear wheel, doing everything he can to force some kind of an Emig error to allow him to slide the Suzuki into the back door, the front door, the side door. He really doesn't care. He just wants to get that second place back if he possibly can. With the moto winding down, Mike Kiedrowski really doesn't care what's happening behind him. He only knows that he has that number 1 spot, and if he keeps it upright for another lap or so, he's going to gain back a number of those points that he lost with that 4th place finish in moto number 1. Kiedrowski out of Canyon Country, California, rider number 4 aboard the Kawasaki. And here comes Jeff Emig, rider number 18, Grand Terrace, California. Emig holding down the number 2 slot. He's a Yamaha rider. And right behind him, the defending national champion in this 125 class out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. One of the veterans on the field. He's 30 years of age. That's Guy Cooper, rider number 1. Cooper chasing Emig. Emig, one of the youngsters, and Cooper, one of the oldsters, if you will. It's just the opposite ends of the spectrum, both of them getting the job done. Mike Kiedrowski up over the top of the jump. He's on his last lap now. Victory is in sight. He can sense it. He can smell it. He can feel it. He's headed for the checkered flag. There it is. And Mike Kiedrowski wins moto number 2. A last-ditch effort possibly by Cooper. And look at that. Cooper tried to double into the finish line. There just wasn't enough room. Jeff Emig held on for that win. Cooper is going to take the number 3 position home. Emig very happy. He throws away his goggles as he holds off Cooper to finish second. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. We're glad you could join us and a huge crowd here at Budds Creek, Maryland that are on hand to watch exciting motocross racing. And it has been exciting. Still one moto to go. That's in the 500cc National Championship class. We'll give a wave to all of the folks that turned out on this fine day for motocross. A little bit on the cool side. The sun has been hidden by clouds, and that's good. It's just ideal temperatures for the riders and for the fans. Not too hot and not too cold. Jean-Michel Bayle, the winner of moto number 1. There's Jeff Ward, rider number 1. Jeff Stanton to his left. Camera right. Number 2, that's Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11 on the extreme right-hand side of your screen. And there's Bayle. He pops into view. He's about the 8th or 9th rider from the end as the gate drops and the field heads uphill. And it's Jean-Michel Bayle out front already. When Bayle gets the hole shot in the early going of a moto, or on the drop of the gate, I should say, of a moto, you can almost put that one in the bank. Now, we'll see if that holds true out here today. Damon Bradshaw giving chase in the number 2 position. There's Jeff Ward close to the front, and the rest of the pack following closely behind. They're all just putting the power to the ground here at Budds Creek. But Jean-Michel Bayle, the winner of moto number 1, the series points leader in the 500 class. He's already captured a pair of titles this year. He won the Supercross crown. That's the one he wanted most. He won the 250cc Outdoor National Championship, and he did that without winning a single overall event. Consistency was the key there. He tied a couple of times for the overall win, but never walked away with a bonus or the trophy that goes along with winning overall. No bragging rights, so to speak, but I think that the name of the game is winning championships, and he did walk away with that. My guess is that any of the riders out there would be happy to trade moto wins, would be happy to trade overall wins with Jean-Michel Bayle to capture a national title. Jean-Michel Bayle from France taking the hole shot and leading moto number 2 in this 500cc class. When this one is over, the riders will have just 2 motos to run. That will be a week from now at Unadilla, New York. Final 2 motos in the 1991 Outdoor National Championship Motocross Series. Right now, though, Jean-Michel Bayle has his hands full. You see him come off the top of that jump and look behind him, wondering who in the world is keeping pace. That normally does not happen. Well, who in the world turns out to be Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11 aboard the Yamaha, back in 3rd. And they've started to pull slightly away from the number 3 position is the number 1 of Jeff Ward. There, Bradshaw got to the inside, and he went past Jean-Michel Bayle. That's where the finish line will be several laps from now. That's the area that they're in. Numac is holding down 4th, incidentally. There's Jeff Stanton in 5th. 6th place is Keith Johnson, rider number 40. Let's go back and take one more look at this pass. Now, watch this. Bradshaw goes to the inside, almost overshoots Bayle. I think Bayle thought that he could let him go and square it off and get to the inside of Bradshaw. But Bradshaw was just too quick. He was ready to pounce. So Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11 from Charlotte, North Carolina, a member of Team Yamaha, 18 years of age. He's the teenage sensation, has taken over the number 1 spot. And now Jean-Michel Bayle is in jeopardy of losing the number 2 position. Jeff Ward coming up from 3rd, and Bayle falters. He looked to his right, and there is Jeff Ward, and he pounces. Bayle looked to his right. I don't know that he knew that Ward was there because he looked the wrong direction and Ward made the pass. But look at here, Bayle gets it right back. What an amazing sequence of events. Jeff Ward from 3rd place took over 2nd, and Jean-Michel Bayle came right back and got it back. Bayle in the championship chase is wasting no time on the racetrack. Now, you would think that Bayle would maybe hold off a little bit and pick and choose his spots where he wants to pass, would try to avoid danger, would try to avoid confrontations, but Bayle is having none of that. Jean-Michel Bayle, throwing caution to the wind, just pinned the throttle to regain that number 2 position. Now Ward is coming back. Ward tried to get to the inside of Bayle, but Bayle with a good outside line said no dice. And he takes over the number 1, or holds on, I should say, to that number 2 position. Out front, it's Damon Bradshaw. Second place is Jean-Michel Bale aboard the red Honda. Third place on the green Kawasaki, the defending 500cc national champ, is Jeff Ward. And there goes Ward again. Ward is not giving up. He is relentless in this second moto. He goes to the outside, then he goes to the inside. He switches back to the outside. Ward's goal is to keep the pressure on, try to make some kind of a mistake or force some kind of a mistake on Jean-Michel Bale. Well, he's doing his part. Bale, though, is not cooperating. He's not making the mistake. He holds down the number 2 slot. Eyes, though, of the crowd at this particular time are on this young man, 18-year-old Damon Bradshaw from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's aboard a Yamaha that was developed several years ago. The main, I should say, component parts were developed several years ago through working with Brock Glover, who was then a 500cc national champ. It's an air-cooled motorcycle. Now, the rest of the bikes in the field are water-cooled, and that was wondered at the time. It was wondered at the early going of this 500 class, would that air-cooled Yamaha be able to hold up to the rigors of modern-day 500cc racing? And it has proven to be the equal to any of the water-cooled bikes in terms of power and longevity on the racetrack. Bradshaw has done an admirable job with it riding in this 500 class. Now he's feeling the pressure as Jeff Ward has dropped slightly off the pace. He's feeling the pressure of Jean-Michel Bale, who is moving up to challenge Bradshaw for the number 1 position. Lapped rider in between the two of them. Bale quickly disposes of him. They round the corner and head back uphill, a series of whoop-de-doos in the process. And neither rider, now most riders are doubling up that uphill. There's Jeff Ward in third, and neither rider on that go-around doubled. Ward did, and he gained a sizable amount of ground. Now Bale goes to the outside. Is that going to give him the right line? Yes, indeed it does. Jean-Michel Bale has recaptured, has taken over the number 1 position that he held at the outset of the second moto. Bradshaw dropping back to second. Third place is still Jeff Ward. I wonder if Bradshaw might not be feeling the pace just a little bit too much. After he was passed, Bale seemed content for a few laps to rest and take it easy while Bradshaw was trying to stretch that lead. He was really working out front. Then Jeff Ward came along, and Ward and Bale got into that confrontation, that little bit of a battle, that fight for the number 2 position, and Bale again picked up the pace and moved up to the rear wheel of Bradshaw and has now regained the number 1 position. Jean-Michel Bale taking a look over his shoulder. He has just a couple of corners to go. He wants to make sure that Bradshaw is not sneaking up on him. Bale now headed for the checkered flag. He'll easily win this one. He'll be followed across the line by Bradshaw, Ward, Stanton, and Newmack. That's assuming, of course, that they all keep it upright in this, the second moto of the 500cc class. When we come back, we'll talk to the winners, Guy Cooper in the 125 class and Bale in the 500. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, here's a look, with only 1 round remaining, at the standings in the 125cc National Championship class. Mike Kiedrowski is on top. He's the 1989 champ, with the defending champ Cooper in second, then Emig, Swink, and McGrath. Over in 500cc competition, it's Bale, Ward, Stanton, Bradshaw, and Lachine. Today's action, outstanding. Guy Cooper winning the overall in the 125 class. And Guy, I guess I have to ask you, what happened in that second moto? It looked like you were going to be a dominant force there too.
Well, the second moto, up in a tight corner, there was several lines I could choose, and I chose the middle line, and coming out I caught the inside line with the front wheel, and I washed out and lost probably 10 or 15 seconds.
So instead of gaining a whole bunch of points on Kiedrowski, you only picked up a couple. The point lead's going to be somewhere around 28 heading into the final race of the year. Do you give up, let him go?
No way. There's still 1 more round. It's 50 points total, and I'd like to get those 50 points and see how he comes out.
Okay, we'll wish you the best of luck as you go on to Unadilla, Guy Cooper. Let's take a look at our 500cc winner. He was the dominant man today, just as he has been all season long, Jean-Michel Bale. And Jean-Michel, you're going into the season finale at Unadilla with a healthy point lead, but I don't think you're going to rest on your laurels at all.
Oh no, I'm going to try my best, in first moto, try to win the race and try to take the championship after the first moto so I can be free for the second one and try to win the last race. So this is my plan for next week.
And you would be the first rider in the history of U.S. motocross to have won the 250, Supercross, and 500cc titles in a single season.
Yeah, I know, but it's not my goal. I want to take many championships as I can, but this year I want to take the Supercross, and my goal was this, and I already make it. So Now I ride very, very comfortable. I have no pressure because everything I do is just something more, but I'm very happy to win. If I can win it 500, to take it.
So we'll wish you the best of luck next week at Unadilla.
Thank you.
So I'm Larry Myers on behalf of our winners, Guy Cooper in the 125 class, Jean-Michel Bale in the 500 class. We're moving on to Unadilla, New York for the season finale. Be with us here on the Prime Network.